Hello, welcome to the Clark Blue podcast. Matt, I don't know whether you can see then at the bottom of the screen, but I dashed away for a second during the intro to get my cup of coffee from the other room. So I'm out of breath already. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, you should have told me, mate. If you wanted me to fill in a sponsors form or something. Was it for charity or what? Or...
It was like the countdown's like 12 seconds. I've got enough time. Quick, go. It's Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Cup of coffee in hand, as mentioned. Why are we doing this Sunday rather than an hour after full time? I was invited to Dan Bardell's wedding party last night. We did plan to do the episode between Villa Park and that, and we had a kind of a 20-minute window that kept getting smaller and smaller, and we decided in the end, no, can't do it, no time. Let's do Sunday instead. And to be honest, I feel differently about the game now than I did yesterday. I don't know why. I feel yesterday coming out of it, I was a bit like, good result, great, absolutely massive, but really weird atmosphere. Performance felt a little bit flat in parts. I watched the highlights 10 minutes before we started this, and I was like, actually, created some good chances, and we probably should have won more than one. So I feel better now. I don't know whether you're the same.
Well, I didn't get invited, mate, so I don't. I feel broken. I feel let down. I have been invited to the subscription group where you can get a copy of Dan's speech WhatsApped into your inbox. So I'm looking forward to that.
You need a lot of storage space for that, let me tell you.
First of all, congratulations. I'm really forgetful now. What's Dan's missus called?
Jenna.
Congratulations to Dan and Jenna. But we're not here to talk about that, Dan, sadly. But hope it all went well. Yeah, I think it was one of those ones where I think John McGinn, I've seen some quotes from him, I think, in his post-match interview saying that it was a bit flat. Villa Park was a bit flat, and understandably so, given that we're all let down, including the players, all feeling sorry for ourselves last week. I thought we were going to blow it. I thought we were in control. I thought when Fulham come to Villa Park, we tend to beat them. I think the stats will back that up as well. But there were so many good chances, and then there were so many little bits where I thought we were going to sabotage ourselves just by being a little bit sloppy in places. But when you look back on it, the sun was shining. Forest result went for us in the week as well, so we're still in the mix, and I think we said this before. All we can do is deliver on our part of the bargain and see where it takes us.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul says, "Morning, guys. 1 down, 3 to go," and I think that is the general feeling, isn't it? That was a massive win yesterday.
Is that on morning cups of tea? Is that?
But it's still only part of the job. There was a comment earlier on from Russell. I think this is the Russell I've been going back and forth with on Twitter. Feeling more confident of Champions League now, young Daniel. I mean, I'll definitely take young. I don't want this to come across negative in the first 3 minutes of the episode, but no, because in my projection of Villa getting X amount of points, I thought we'd beat Fulham anyway. So we've done what I thought we'd do. So I'm not more confident. However, we need a Palace, Chelsea, and Brighton treble over the next 24 hours. And I'll feel much more confident then. Newcastle play Brighton at 2. Chelsea host the champions at 4:30, and Forest have Palace on Monday Night Football. We'll be doing a Q&A, by the way, on Tuesday. I'm not sure whether we'll do it before or after Forest, but obviously definitely after Chelsea and Newcastle. So if more results continue to go our way, yes, I will start to feel more confident. It's still, and not to get too ahead of ourselves because we've not spoken about Fulham yet, it's still Bournemouth for me is the one that I'm nervous about. That's the one I think we might slip up in. I'm 99% confident we'll beat Spurs at home, our final home game of the season. They will be preparing for a Europa League final. We'll make possibly 11 changes. Have nothing to play for in the league. I'd be stunned if we don't win that game. And United on the final day depends on if we need to win that, if we're playing for something. If we have to go there knowing if you win, you finish top 5, I would back us to do it, despite our deficiencies at Old Trafford in the past. But it's the Bournemouth one. Get through that, and absolutely, I'd feel more confident. How do you feel about the general picture about Champions League? Are you more or less confident after yesterday?
Cliche alert. I think you take it a game at a time, don't you? I think I just like it to still be a conversation by the time we get to Old Trafford on the last day of the season. I think Bournemouth is going to be really, really difficult. Probably, I know we've got the Europa League kind of distractions for Spurs and United, but I'd probably rather play one of those first. But it doesn't really matter because it's not my decision to set up the fixture list. I'm flat anyway, Dan. I'm flat because of the FA Cup. You know, it sounds silly. I know I've got to get over it. I know it's been a week now, and time is a healer.
How many conversations did you have at Villa Park yesterday? Just going, we covered yet? I feel like everybody said that.
The fella sitting next to me, Seb, I didn't rock up to Villa Park till about 12 because I went to see my daughter play football in the morning. And I just said to him, I'm sorry, I apologise to you and your lad in advance. I'm just going to moan about everything. He looked at me and said, well, yeah, what's new? So I'm flat about that. I want us to do absolutely everything that we can to force our way over the line into those Champions League places. I've enjoyed it this year, funnily enough. You know, the razzmatazz, the rock and roll, the queuing up the wrong tape against PSG, all of that kind of stuff. The tifos, it's been a real adventure. I want it to happen again. Having said that, if the consolation prize is Europa League, having seen how the Premier League's two worst teams look like they're going to be competing in the final, I think that's a competition we could go and win. And I think it's a different competition to the conference league. So I'm probably trying to prepare myself for disappointment already if we don't get over the line in the Champions League. But, you know, to be in Europe 3 times in successive years by virtue of our league position, we're nearly there now. You know, beating Bournemouth and keeping them at arm's length not only would put us in contention for the Champions League, but would keep them, you know, keep them back as well. So I probably am trying to process my disappointment just in case we fall short in the Champions League. But I do think Europa League would be a decent consolation prize. Am I giving up too early?
I don't know, because I agree. I think we'll finish in the Europa League as well. So, from my own opinion, no, because I agree with you. Do I think that if Villa win every game, we've got a decent chance of the top 5? Yeah, but my gripe and the thing I can't get over is I just don't think we'll win every game because of Bournemouth, because of a trip to Old Trafford. If every game was at Villa Park, I'd say, yeah, of course we're going to win all of them, but obviously they're not. But yeah, it's not a stage of giving up yet. I think the Bournemouth game is going to be the big one, like I said, because I think we're going to beat Spurs anyway. I mean, John had it as like each game is 25% of the way there. But if you beat Bournemouth, it feels like you're more than 50% already because you feel like you're going to beat Spurs anyway. So Bournemouth is definitely the big one. Music Junkie in the comments says, I'm now getting nervous about Bournemouth already, which, yeah, exactly the same. A couple more comments while I'm in them. Andrew Stone says, I can't believe your little nana didn't get an invite to the wedding party. Good.
I bought my hat as well. I bought my hat and new little handbag.
Tom said, morning, you lot, first ever live episode I'm watching. Hello, Tom. Thanks for joining us. And Dan says, for your welfare, has Matt been resurrected following the dreaded man flu? Are you okay now?
I'm ploughing through, you know. I'm still not right. I mean, older viewers will remember there used to be a character called Gilbert on Saturday morning TV. I think it was called Get Fresh. And he was the snottiest alien you've ever seen. He was like this green ball of snot. So either him or do you remember Bob Fleming in the Fast Show, Dan?
No, but I know the name.
There was this sketch where they just used to degenerate into sneezing and coughing and you know, projecting a load of phlegm. So if you are enjoying your breakfast on a sunny Sunday morning, then I'm getting there, but I'm still not up to full fitness, which probably was last in 1997. I thought when I was up to full fitness. But thank you for asking about me. It means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as old as you, but as you get older, I definitely don't have these days where you feel like a footballer. They don't have many games when they're 100% fit, do they? There's always something, a neck ache, a back ache.
Can you have a cortisone injection to get rid of snot, though? I don't know whether that's a thing.
Right, okay. Let's talk about the game then. As I said, the mood of the game versus watching the highlights felt really different to me. And I know it's only highlights, and that picks out the best bits. Some of the 90 minutes was a little bit like nothing's really happening here. But I came out of the game feeling like, we didn't create loads, we didn't play particularly well. We've won 1-0, so it's a massive win, but we just got over the line. I kind of felt the weight of Palace still, and that to me was being a supporter in the stadium, talking to everybody about Palace. That was the conversation. Are you over it yet? And it's terrible, wasn't it? And by the way, Fulham's happening. Like, do you know what I mean? It was this weird kind of feeling. And I do think it's that sense of, okay, it's 1 down, but 3 to go. Like, we've not achieved anything by beating Fulham. I thought we'd beat them anyway. And 1-0 isn't particularly convincing. However, having watched the highlights back and it now being the next day rather than, an hour after full time, we created some decent chances. And if not for, I don't want to put the blame onto him because I know that's a popular thing at the moment. If not for Ollie Watkins missing a couple of chances, we probably should win 3-0 because Fulham didn't really create a lot the other way. I don't think Martinez has made a save of any note, really. We didn't concede our first shot on target, which is a bonus. But Villa created some decent chances, and a couple of those come from Watkins, the ball down the right from Rodgers, which he puts at the keeper, and then the ball that Cash puts across as well, that's gone under his boot. He definitely should be scoring them, and that is obviously a kind of bone of contention for people that he misses all these chances and whatever else. But being that close to breaking the record as well, we've spoke about this before, is that kind of weighing over him. And I compared it to last year when he was on 19 Premier League goals and get to 20. He'll definitely do it, and it doesn't. And whether that kind of has any weight. Being this close to the record and he desperately wants to break it, I don't know whether that's having any impact or not, because he's getting the chances. He only needs 1 more to break it, and he's had 5 or 6 games to do it, and those games are dwindling away, and it just feels like a thing now that he's not going to do it.
What you've got to remember is not only has he got to contend with kind of his own confidence issues, he's also got to contend with Gabriel Bonhor with a Ollie Watkins voodoo doll with a pack of knitting needles, like stabbing it relentlessly. In terms of the game as a whole, winning the game was the most important thing. And not only were we having little debriefs with our neighbours at Villa Park moaning about what went wrong and why we didn't turn up at Wembley the previous week, but I think when a lot of us, maybe this is a generalisation, when we saw the team sheet, we were like, did 10 of those who started last week deserve, should there have been more changes? We've seen Emery make massive changes in recent games. I don't know, maybe it's me still sulking, but should some of them have been punished by not being in the starting lineup and given people?
I felt it was maybe the other way, like you served up a load of crap last week, go and fix it. Yeah.
I think that was the thinking, but there was the question of whether Ming should have come back in for Torres, and whether Asensio should have started. So I think that left me thinking, okay, right. I thought there'd be more changes, but having said that, we won the game, we got the goal. It's frustrating that we didn't score more because it added to the nervousness and anxiety in the stadium, perhaps in the last 20 minutes.
I thought it had 1-1 written all over it.
I thought so as well, especially when they went down to 10 men. I thought this is, who was it? Was it Bournemouth at Villa Park who scored that late free kick? I could see a version of that happening. I think the frustrating thing by not scoring more goals, putting the game to bed sooner, and goal difference might yet become a factor, And I think we're about 6 or 7 goals away from Forest now. Maybe more, maybe 8. So if you'd stuck another 2 in yesterday rather, that could have helped if we needed a goal difference swing. But ultimately, it's getting the points on the board. So and like you, I've had a chance to look back at some of the highlights, and it does look like we dominated. It didn't quite feel like that at times.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Like the mood after the game threatened us that much.
No, I didn't really feel in danger of like they're going to punish us, but it felt like we're not going to make the most of being dominant and creating relatively good chances. They only need one scrappy goal, like the one that comes from their handball, which was a handball, but still, that was dangerous for us. This feels like it's going to be one of those ones that we've been winning for so long. After 10 minutes or so, we're going to blow it. That was the vibe. But if you only watch the highlights. And I saw the Sky highlights on YouTube about 3 minutes. I didn't see much of the day. But if you only watch that, you think, Villa played all right and looked pretty comfortable. But in the stadium, it certainly didn't feel like that.
No, it was. But I think sometimes that's to do with our own experiences, isn't it?
Yeah.
Experience and our own inbuilt nervous system.
Can I just talk to you about goal difference while you discuss it there? Me and John spoke about it on the preview. Somebody asked us, is it a lost cause? Because I said weeks ago it was, because we were still in the minus at that point, -3 or 4. We're now +6. Forest are +12, so there's 6 in it. Obviously, they lost 2-0 the other day. We've won 1-0. I said Villa have got to win all 4 of their games for this to mean anything. So at the bare minimum, ours is going to be +4 better by winning each game 1-0, which is what we did yesterday. And Forest will be at least 4 worse by losing games 1-0, in theory, if that's the swing. Obviously, it's not going to be as simple as that. Obviously not. However, John's point or counterpoint to goal difference was, if we're relying on our goal difference being better than Forest at the end of the season by swinging it by 6 or more, goal difference won't matter because we'll have got enough points to overtake them anyway. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily, because they could win a game 1-0 and then they could lose a game 6-0.
Potentially, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
If every side has the same result, if we have 4-1-0 wins and Forest have 4, I mean, what did Forest lose the other night? 2-0.
2-0, yeah.
Forest have 2-0 defeats and Chelsea have 4-1-1 draws. I think there needs to be a kind of steward's inquiry into what's going on, because without being Sheldon in the Big Bang Theory, I don't know what the odds of that particular set of results coming out are. But so yeah, I get the point. If you win your football matches and they lose all theirs, you're going to be done anyway. But I think goal difference can be a factor, because I don't think it'll be as simple as that. I think there'll be some Forest wins in there. Obviously, there can't afford to be any Aston Villa defeats or draws in there. But I just think yesterday, and listen, it's gone now anyway, so there's no point dwelling on it, but yesterday was an opportunity where we could have won by more than 1 goal, and we didn't. But equally, we've won the game, so let's win the next game by more than 1 goal, or let's just win that one.
Yeah, I think let's just win that one, and maybe Spurs is the opportunity to get your goal difference up. They're going to be in the Europa League final. That at the moment, the game is the Sunday, which Spurs aren't happy about and want to change it, which I think is the disgrace. Who cares? We didn't get any help with moving our games to the Champions League. Spurs have nothing to play for in the league. Make 11 changes then. That's kind of like brings the game into disrepute, because they're kind of throwing the Villa game. All right, don't be crap in the league then. This game is irrelevant to you. Like, that's on you. So if Villa are playing at home in their final league game of the season, where we are hopefully only going to lose 1 game at home in the league all season and extend our unbeaten streak to 18, and Spurs are making 7, 8, 9, 10 changes, that's the game when you can maybe score a couple of goals and help your goal difference before the last day, if it's needed. There's a conversation in the chat about Marlon and him hitting the bar, which that kind of, not quite a trademark finish, but down that right-hand side, cutting across instead of in the bottom left, went too high this time and hit the bar. Tony says, Marlon hit the bar more than Watkins did. And Paul says, hitting the bar means he missed. He should have buried it. Do you remember the conversation we had years ago now about whether hitting the bar or hitting the post should be on or off target?
It definitely is off target, because the target is the bit between the post and the bar. So I can't remember. Was it Paul who said, yeah, it's off target. It looks better. It looks better than sticking it in the top row of the Holt end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still off target.
It definitely feels like it should be judged differently somehow. In the same way that like a shot on target from the halfway line that rolls into the keeper's hands isn't as good as a shot on target that he saved at point blank range.
I don't think there needs to be a special category. Either it's 28 until he's 29.
That's how it works.
Either it goes in, or either it's on target or it's off target. Anyway, move on.
Fair enough. What else do we want to talk about? I thought Cash played well, by the way. Mentioned his should be assist for Watkins' goal. Comment here, actually, perfect timing from King81. It says, just shows stats can be useless. I saw a fan on social media posting Matty Cash's sofa score rating, or the equivalent of like 6.4 or something, going, oh, Cash is playing well. And all the replies are basically like, well, you didn't watch the game then. Because those ratings are absolutely weighted on, have you scored or assisted? And if he had assisted Watkins, it would be 7.3 or something. You go, okay, you're a decent game. But it's not all about that. I thought Cash played well, and to just kind of go, oh yeah, 6.3 or whatever, really undersells actually watching football. I thought Cash, and in recent weeks, to be fair, he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, did you want to do your little glitzy press conference graphic?
Oh, is that a spoiler that Matty Cash is one of your man of the match shouts?
Well, it's a spoiler that we can speak about individual performances.
Okay. It's everybody's favourite section. It's time for the Man of the Match award, and we're going to pick our top 3 in order. And if there wasn't 3 good players, it's a bit of tough isn't it? Okay, so again, I feel a little bit differently about this than I did yesterday. I can certainly think of a top 3 and a couple of honourable mentions, whereas I think yesterday I'd have been coming out going, I've got a top 3 and that's pretty much it. I'll let you kick off though.
I'd have Matty Cash in there. I thought he was good. He obviously got hurt, didn't he, towards the end as well, putting his body on the line to try and block that effort at the near post. Like I say, the ball that he's whipped across for Watkins. I thought he was one of our better performers, and I don't think I can't even remember much about Iwobi at all. So Cash had clearly got him, tied up, if you like, in the first half, and then when oh God, I've gone blank. What's his name? The sign from Arsenal, Smith Rowe. When Smith Rowe came on as well, I don't think Smith Rowe had too much joy either. I'd have Cash up there.
Just on Cash before you do the others, a couple of comments from Aaron. The thing with Cash that infuriates me is the chop back he does every time he gains 10 yards. I mean, there was a stage, can't remember when, he kind of beat his man almost and waited a little bit for him to catch up. He's like, just keep going. What are you waiting for?
I'll take that. There was one, it might have been the same incident. There was one incident where he burst forward about 60 yards and because he's not got any support against him, alongside him or able to keep up with him, he has cut back inside. He's playing like a 50-yard pass back to Concert because that's the only real ball on if he's going to keep possession.
Went a free kick or a corner in a good area as well, and it ended all the way back up at the goalkeeper. And it's like, what? Yeah, all the talk about Austin McPhee, I think he gets a bit of a bad rep, but it's an opportunity to go forward, put a ball in the box or whatever, and it's gone all the way back, and we're like under pressure all of a sudden. It's like, this shouldn't be how it works.
I don't mind Cash chopping back inside when he suddenly discovers that wand of a left foot that he's got occasionally, and then pings a beautiful ball to the back post. But I thought he played well. Yuri Tielemans is my Aston Villa player of the season.
Me too.
Stop the vote. I think, there's a couple of moments where Tielemans was, I think it falls back into that set piece thing. There's a couple of really poor Tielemans set pieces. There's one where I think we try and be a little bit too clever at times. I think there's some good opportunities to deliver the ball into the box. Maybe that'd be different if you got Mings on. And Nana on at the time, maybe Villa would go more direct from set pieces. But Tielemans, I've just caught up with Match of the Day and some of their analysis this morning. Obviously, he was singled out and highlighted. I think Tielemans is probably the nearest thing. Probably saying this about, probably copy and paste from what I've said about Louise, but he's gone now. I think Tielemans is the nearest thing I've seen to Gareth Barry in my time watching Villa, just in the sense that
he's better footballer than Barry, isn't he?
That's a bit of a, I don't know. I wouldn't want to say which one.
I think they're different players, but
they are different players. But the one thing that they've got in common is that they will take the ball anywhere on the pitch in tight areas. They'll be able to keep the ball, extricate themselves from that position, turn quickly, because I don't think either of them does anything particularly quickly. It always looks like it's done in slow motion, as if they've got the ball to themselves, and there's nobody else on the pitch. But did you see the ball that he played through to Watkins that was just a little bit too? So the way he's been able to spin in the centre circle and then thread that ball to Watkins. Obviously, he scored the goal. You don't associate him with power bullet headers, do you?
That's a great header, wasn't it? I didn't really quite realise at the time how good it was.
But again, watching the highlights back and the way that Kamara stepped out of the box and left that space, and then Tielemans has just gone and attacked it. Brilliant delivery. I mean, that came about 5 minutes after the delivery from McGinn didn't beat the first man. So you have to cope with Villa's frustration or frustrating ways of working before you eventually get your just reward. But I think the other thing about Tielemans, he's my man of the match, by the way. The other thing about Tielemans is, I think I always wince a little bit when big players come and challenge him, because I think I don't know why, but I should imagine he's not far short of 6 foot, but he always strikes me as a little bit of fragile and a little bit of a, but he's not. He's so strong, and people can barge into him, and I think, oh no, poor Yuri, he's played every match since we've signed him. I hope he's not hurt, but he just dusts himself up and goes again. So I think physically he's durable as well. Those are my two. I don't know. There's probably a few. Go on, I'll let you name who else will get him for you.
Well, I've got two in mind to make up my three, and one of them is at Matty Cash. So, just on Cash, by the way, there's a bit of a debate in the comments about is it Cash or is it Emery who is deciding whether he should cut back or not. Probably
it's
both.
Emery.
Do you think
it's Emery? Yeah,
I think it's a bit of Cash as well. I think sometimes it's a bit of a lack of conviction or confidence just to go and do something, and almost a little bit kind of scared of the wrath of losing the ball, which is on Emery.
Yeah. Which I think that kind of is Emery, isn't it? In the fact that he's scared of the wrath he'd get. Wrath or Roth?
I think it's Roth, isn't it? But I've gone with Wrath.
Yeah. I'm a Roth man. That's an old football encyclopedia, Rothman. What was I saying? I'm not. I suppose the test is if it's Emery or if it's Cash. How often would he have gone to the byline under Gerrard or under Smith? A little bit more, maybe not so much more, but a little bit more. I mean, admittedly, the crosses probably would have sailed into the North Stand when he'd have done that. So that probably
even if they were attacking the whole end.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that let me choke now. So that probably, so that both. Yeah, both.
I think definitely both. I think I read a book about Premier League analytics that Liverpool use, and that
was it the Rothmans?
No, it wasn't the Rothmans. It was very much on basically each pass has got a extra percentage of scoring a goal, basically, and making those decisions from a coaching perspective and from the player's perspective. They know basically if I do this, there's X amount more percent that we're going to do something. I think the amount of times that we go forward and cut back to retain possession is there's a 50% better chance we'll hold onto the ball for the next minute. Whereas if I go forward and give it away, we're under pressure again. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But sometimes you do need to take risks because he'll deliver the ball like he did for Watkins, and Watkins should score. We're 2-0 up, game over. Anyway, Cash is an honourable mention in my man of the match shouts. He'd probably be fourth, say. I'd go the other side and I'd put Maatsen in there. I thought he was excellent again, and he's absolutely taking the starting left back place for me now for the rest of the season. I thought he was great going forward, and I mean he doesn't check back in the same way that Cash does, but he has maybe more pace to recover maybe if he does lose the ball. I don't know, or whether it's just a case of on the right hand side we're going to do this, and on the left hand side we're going to do that. So Maatsen would be in my pick. Tielemans will be number one, and the third player that we've not talked about at all yet, John McGinn. I thought he was brilliant again, and the wrong decision to take him off. I think he's always lasting about 60 minutes, which I don't know whether he's a thing for fitness or just a tactical reason. But we always lose a bit of something when he's not on the pitch. Like he's not absolutely a like for like, but because he didn't come on for him. But Barkley coming on at the start of the season was like, oh, he's kind of keeps us ticking, really calm, really composed. Against Palace and yesterday, he comes on, just looks really sloppy and miles off the pace. I know he's had an injury, but you compare that to McGinn, who will take the game by the scruff of the neck and hold on to the ball and keep it safe and maybe move up the pitch a little bit as well. Barkley comes on and you think he's probably going to give it away in a dangerous area. So, again, not a like-for-like comparison, but we definitely lose a bit of an edge when McGinn comes off on the hour mark.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether I've not heard anything. Is McGinn managing an injury? Because his performances for the 60 minutes of a game would suggest not.
Yeah.
Would suggest that he's still his all action, cover every blade of grass kind of what we expect from McGinn. But to be the one who sacrificed several times. Can you hear me, by the way? Because my Wi-Fi is doing its usual.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're just a blurry blob. Oh, he's jinxed it. He's jinxed it by asking whether I can hear him. You're back, I think.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okie doke. I think McGinn played really well, as we've come to expect. Wasn't Barkley who came on for him, was he? Was it not Anana who came on for him?
Yeah, Barkley came on later. I was just trying to make a comparison between what those two players offer us.
Yeah, because I actually thought Anana came on and played quite well. I mean,
Yeah,
he's very, very different to McGinn, but I thought he came on with a spring in his step and tried to get about the pitch and advance the ball as much as he could. Was it McGinn's? What was his milestone yesterday? Was it his 200th?
200 Premier League appearances.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
Yeah, doesn't feel like there's been enough time to make 200 games.
Feels like I've just got back in the Premier League to me. So no, it shows how important he's been and how much of an almost ever present he's been. But yeah, I agree with you. It's funny that I don't know McGinn. How old's McGinn now, Dan?
30.
He's older than Tielemans, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 30.
Because it's almost like, and I know Tielemans came off yesterday, which was a rare thing, but I think he'd indicated that he got a slight knock. It's funny that he'll let. I can understand it with Rodgers because Rodgers is a much younger man, but he'll let Rodgers and Tielemans play virtually every minute. But I don't know. I think there's some McGinn fitness, energy management going on.
Potentially, I mean, you could argue that McGinn will play, in theory, 9 out of 10 for an hour, as opposed to 6.5 out of 10 for 90 minutes. And it's better to have him running around like the Duracell bunny for an hour rather than not be as effective in the latter stages, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the three: McGinn, Tielemans, and Maatsen / Cash. I think that would be mine. Can we do a bit of centre defensive chat between Konsa and Torres? We'll start with Torres. So I think most would have thought it's Ming's time at some point. He's not had a great couple of games. Second half against City and Palace was pretty abysmal across the board, but I thought Torres was pretty poor in that. He started again, and I think there was some questions of like, could Jimenez be a bit of a bully for Torres? And it wasn't the case. Torres played well on the ball, as we all know. That's his thing, and we've kept a clean sheet with him in there. But there's still just something not quite right with that centre-back partnership of Konsa and Torres. I don't quite think they complement each other very well.
I don't know. Is that a kind of recency thing though, Dan? Because they played a lot of the season together, wouldn't they?
And last year they did, and we got into the top 4.
So I don't know, and I don't think in Emery's team you're ever going to get that completely settled partnership. I think if there are players who have dips in form, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think Torres is a really good footballer. I think he's a really good defender. And I think, yes, there's sometimes where we said it before, didn't we? We said like when Carlos was here, probably disaster. He's been bought in as the new Carlos. If you want two enforcers who are going to go and stand up against your traditional big, strong number 9s, then Diego Carlos and Tyrone Mings are your guys. If you want two elegant footballers who are going to be able to bring the ball out of the back and start moves, then Pau Torres and Ezri got with Villa's ambitions. Can you hear me, by the way, or have I gone?
You just sound like a robot for the last 10 seconds, but it's all right. Let's move on. On Konsa, it would be stupid of us not to talk about the absolute rage that Emery threw his way in the beginning of the second half. Now, I remembered this a little bit differently. I thought he was kind of like standing on the ball in the centre circle and lost it and was dispossessed. It was a little bit different to that he was just dallying around and not dealing with it and looking, I think, for that contact to go down and reset and have a free kick, which is fine in principle. But when it reminded me a little bit, and I tweeted this earlier because I couldn't remember the game, but I remembered the scenario. And I remember at the time talking about Cash for the second goal at Forest away, that he went down on the edge of his own box and Forest go and score. And I remember at the time talking about that as Cash going down way too easily and kind of looking for a contact, looking for the foul to go down. And that's a kind of pet peeve that I have in football of this just isn't, just deal with it. Don't go down, just deal with the problem. I watched that back this morning And I actually think it was a foul on Cash at the time. And I was probably a little bit too harsh on him. But at the moment in the game yesterday, I felt the same of like, why is Konsa even looking for it? You're in possession. Give it off to somebody else, or just deal with the situation. To try and feel a little bit of contact so I can go down. You're not always going to get it. And doing it there on the halfway line when Fulham can go and counter on you, and probably should have done better with the chance that came off the back of it. It's just poor. You can see why Emery was raging in the way that he was. Can you hear me? Am I the problem now? What's going on here?
I can hear you. Although I might have to leave and rejoin in a minute because I've made Furious Badger even more furious by the fact that my Wi-Fi is so crap in the comments. I think that's Konsa's favourite trick, isn't it? It's his party piece, kind of feeling contact and going down and winning free kicks. Normally does it in the wide areas. I think, it was quite an exchange between him and Emery. Emery was absolutely giving it loads, and Konsa didn't give it the hands up to apologise. Konsa was giving plenty back as well. Seen some quotes from Emery saying, I briefed the players before the game and at half time that, we can't afford to be relaxed at all. So I think he means relaxed in terms of letting standards slip. I think Konsa sometimes, to me, goes too often to try and play down the middle of the pitch rather than keeping the ball and, giving the ball to Cash simply or whatever. And I think in that situation, there was no need for Villa to be caught in possession there. There's no need whatsoever. And probably if you are Yuri Tielemans or Bouba Kamara in that area of the pitch, you probably can manoeuvre the ball into a forward pass. And if you're Ezri Konsa, your responsibility is to just keep the ball and to just keep Villa away from danger. So it was, it was a little bit of a kind of sideshow to the main event. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Villa, there's a lot said, isn't there, about, players and managers showing passion and that kind of thing. It's showing that they care. Nobody who saw that exchange could think anything other than these are two people who really care. But it was one that we got away with. I think it led to, was it a Harry Wilson chance potentially? Just imagine, if Emery's doing not like that when we get away with it. Just imagine if that goal had been. So I just think it's.
Yeah, we need to sort your Wi-Fi out. This is beyond a joke. Right, I'm going to wrap up there, I think, before we get into any more trouble. One thing to mention quickly for those that are still listening. We had a comment earlier from Nick who said, by the way, are you guys doing a Hockley Social style public event this season? Haven't seen any news on this. Well, here's some news, Nick. Yes, we are doing one. It's going to be May the 27th, which is a Tuesday night. The season ends on Sunday the 25th. We're away at Old Trafford. Monday is the bank holiday, and then the Tuesday will be the live podcast at Hockley Social Club again. Tickets will be free, as always. Capacity of around 300, but we'll stagger the tickets. You have to buy them online, but like I say, they are free. You just get an email, and that's that. Just to reserve your space so we can get an idea on numbers. It'll be me, Matt, and John, and familiar faces, friends of the podcast that you've seen before. Could be Dan Bardell, could be Rob Warner, whoever. I don't know. I haven't sorted that part of it yet, but it'll definitely be us three. And we'll do a bit of a season roundup and a Q&A like we do at the end of every season. So the tickets will be available Tuesday at 12 p.m. We'll do another podcast before then anyway to give people time to be aware of that this is happening. But Tuesday, 27th of May, I think the doors open at the venue at 5 or 5:30. The show doesn't start till 8, and it'll be split in half. So we'll do kind of half an hour, we'll have a break, and we'll do a half an hour, 45-minute Q&A, finish around 10, have a chat, have a beer, go home. Hopefully talking about Villa doing some fun things and qualifying for the Champions League. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. That's kind of the first phase announcement. There'll be more information over the next couple of days. Matt, thank you very much for joining me in parts, for the most part. Appreciate it as always. Thanks for everyone who tuned in with the live chat and got involved with the comments as well. Good to kind of relive the game. I had a tweet earlier saying, I can't quite like process the game until I've listened to the podcast. And I almost feel the same. I can't quite get over it until we've spoken about it. Like I've just been thinking about Fulham since yesterday. Now it's like we're done. We spoke about it, put it to one side. Now we focus on Bournemouth. So we'll be doing a Q&A. It'll be out on Tuesday. Tickets for Hockley will also be out on Tuesday. So if you want to get involved in the comment section of this episode and share some questions, we'll do our best to answer them. Matt, are you still with us to say bye?
I am, just finally, if my my dodgy dial-up internet holds up. Just wanting to praise Villa for the half-time tributes as well to the Whole Tenders in the Sky, which I think is a lovely, poignant moment each year because, you know, when we talk about Villa fans, we're all different people. We've all got different lives. We've all got different political views and all that kind of thing. But I think when you see it put on the screen like that, that's what binds us. I suppose that's what binds us as a human race. But the fact that every face that you see on that screen, you know, well, that's somebody's dad, that's somebody's mate, that's somebody's auntie, that's somebody's brother. And I just think it kind of unites us as a Villa family. And I think that's a really nice touch that's kind of entered, you know, our Villa Park experience in recent years, that we do stop and reflect. So I know I always complain a lot about some of the things that Villa do around the edges and off the pitch and that kind of thing. But I think that's a really nice feature once a year to respect and remember those that we've lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. That'll do us for this one. Matt, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching along or listening to this episode of the Clark Podcast.
I'm done.
And we'll see you Tuesday. Bye-bye.